Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
Never happens. And some of the sellers will even be stupid enough to say that they'll have the reverse clawback. Remember I told you about the clawback? They'll have a reverse clawback, and they'll guarantee you 15, 20% ROI. Jump on that because it never happens. Because in 50 years, I've never seen a reverse clawback work past the first claw. Because he's got his whole team working like a ball buster to make that first clawback of 6% or 7% equity for him. And he burns them out, and they never make the second, third, or fourth, or fifth clawback. It does never happen. I've only seen the first clawback get maybe twice in my 50-year career. You know how hard it is to keep. It's like, okay, Super Bowl. Is Super Bowl already? No, when's Super Bowl? I know, but when is it, the Super Bowl? Okay, Super Bowl. Or playoffs. They had playoffs already? Okay, in the playoffs, why are the scores in the playoffs, and they seem to score at will, the football teams, at will. They march up and down the field like it's no fucking problem. And why do they, in the Super Bowl, when they get down to the last game of this, maybe their last game of their career, why do they seem to score at will? Because they're going 110% out. And you can't play a 22-game season or a 19-game season, whatever it is, 100% out, all out. Your body falls to shit. And they score at will during the Super Bowl. They have a 2-minute drill. And they go up and down the field like they got Vaseline up their ass. Boom, boom, boom. In the 2-minute drill. Because they've been trained to score in 2 minutes, no matter what. Because they're going all out. They can't run a football team or any kind of athletic team 100% all out the whole season. The seasons are too long, they fall to shit now. Well, when the clawback, you'll see him operate maybe 3-4 months, 100% all out. And then they fall to shit. Because human nature, they just, the body can't. And in their case, it's not the physical body. Normally, it's the emotional body. They can't hold up, excuse me. And that's why, for 10 years, I was 100% focused for 10 whole years. 10 whole years. And so far, some of you have been out 3 months, 2 months, 5 months, 10 months since the seminar, right? You haven't been able to do 100% all out just for those months. The little pervert thinks he has, but he hasn't. You understand what I'm saying? It's not easy to get a gold fucking medal at the Olympics, even though these are going to be 5-year Olympics. And do you realize how much that fucked up the careers of these athletes? Having trained world-class athletes, I'm glad I'm not training any of these guys right now. Fuck! Their whole life, for one time in summer of 2020, it's canceled. Some people have 6, 8, 12, 15 years training, and it's canceled. The guys, remember I said, the guys that get focused first and stay the longest, remember? Marcus, don't listen to you probably don't listen to me anymore, Marcus. He does, because I talked to him, but he's been focused since August of 2010. August of 2010. And he's made the second most money of all the kids during that period. Second most. He should have been the first most, but anyway, the second most. When you're doing, like this year, 17 deals, last year, 23 deals. When you do 40 deals in 2 years, you are a humping motherfucker. Okay. I want, what was the case I was just listening to? You hadn't figured out your case yet. The one you were doing? Yeah. You had figured it out. Well, no, okay, no. Let's see. The deal in here was, the chicken fuck deal. Don't show them that one because it's not a QLA. It's a good deal for you, but it's not a QLA. I don't want to. These guys are easily enough confused already without you showing them a deal that you made money on that wasn't QLA. Let's see. And the second deal wasn't either. You didn't. I had to listen to your second deal. It's an and by penis deal. Another one. Okay, we'll forget that one too. You guys. Oh, I got more funeral jokes. You look like a mortician. Pasty white skin. I mean, he looks like the Addams Family. Okay. I got more jokes about more. I used to be in there, the roll-up of crematoriums. You're getting Fido's ashes back, not your granny's. For any of you that have deluded yourself into thinking you're getting granny's ashes, I got a bridge I can sell you right over here in Guthrie Lock. Because when I was asking you, who anyway, I don't need to get into all that. But the eternal light. The eternal light. I mean, you now that I've given you a couple of pointers here, a couple of Todd Lopez tips, I mean, you can add something to your repertoire to sell the eternal light to your unsuspecting clientele, as they say. So you're gonna get up, song and dance it. I like cemeteries. I like crematoriums. I like funeral parlors. Not just for the extra sex you get, necrophiliac, and not just for that. I can tell you a story that the Big Ten University will go unnamed, that one of the star all-league linebackers used to bring his team through to get a little extra sex before the big games. That's right off dead people, kids. But they've been fucking dead people in Persia for 5,000 years. We didn't invent it over here. No, well, it is the cradle of a lot of life. I agree with that. But the jokes are about the mummification process. I know that. But the joke is the reason why the mummification process used to take 2 or 3 months. Yeah, well, I'm surprised you guys didn't ever mummified anybody in Persia, right? No, okay. And you're his cousin, right? You're his cousin. Yeah. I told you that I used to live next to the daughter of the doctor of the Shah, who came with just $20 and a T-shirt on their back. And then the brother says, well, what about the trainloads of gold we took? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Okay.
So, in addition to funerals, this business actually transports bodies for medical research up and down the country. So it's a funeral business and transportation business. Most recent turnover is 514,000. EBITDA is 50,000, and that's a conservative one. That's our EBITDA, not the seller's EBITDA. So that's after rent back of the freehold, the property. And we've adjusted for replacing the owner and the cost of replacing the owner post-sale. Agreed price is 236,000, 200,000 on day one. and 36,000 of that price is deferred and paid 2 years later. No payments in between. That's in one go. So the actually I was asked how we got this financed, and actually I got it financed by accident. I was looking at funding one of the other deals I'm looking at, and found this lender that only offered loans to this region where this is based, and I thought, oh, well, that's not good for this, but I've got this one here. So I just sent them the details randomly, and they said, yeah, gave us 165,000. So the type of loan it is, it's an interesting one. Nothing to pay the first year. No capital, no interest. It's government supported, so no PG or anything like that. We just had to give a guarantee from the holding company, which is kind of meaningless, really. The debt's expensive, it's 15% a year, but the government pays the first year. So we're looking at it as 7.5% spread out over 2 years. Average over the first 2 years, debt service 27,000. So it's 1.7 times debt service coverage from the cash flow. £35,000 short. So there's a £25,000 startup loan, 6% a year, and 10,000 my own cash, which I can get back after completion because there's £50,000 left in the bank account. We're buying the whole company, buying the limited company, because there's a lot of National Health Service contracts involved and some prepaid funeral plans, and it's just a lot easier for us there, and plus we get control of the bank account straight away, so we can repay ourselves and get the deal fees paid. Spoke to the lawyers, they're going to bill us after completion, so we can pay them out of the cash that's in the account. Plus there is an overdraft available, which we haven't used, but we could use if we need to for working capital. We could probably also increase it once we get control of the bank account post-completion.
He's already mentioned two different kinds of government quasi-guarantee or quasi-guaranteed monies. This is in the UK, and there are, but you got to make the calls. You got to find out what government, in this country they call them government schemes. In America, scheme is bad, but government plans that you can use, but you got to call around. And the one of them, he's no interest for the first year. The other one, he's lending to a government, not a government agency, but indirectly a government-backed agency that is lending in this particular area. For example, they have a government agency to loan money in Angus. And they have similar in Florida. Dade County's got a fund. But you got to call around. You got to call around. Quite often, and I hadn't thought of this before, quite often when you're in the United States, immigration lawyers will know where their immigration clients have gotten money to start their businesses. So if you ask immigration lawyers, I don't know if it's the same. I have never done it in any other place other than the U.S. But there are sources of money. Money's not the problem. Go ahead. I didn't mean to.
No, I have to say you're right, because I was actually funding another deal, and just while I was doing that, I just sent these guys this stuff, and it just sort of happened in the background. So I wasn't really actually the only people I called about this. Maybe I could have gotten the finance for this deal as well. I didn't need to. And it's no guarantees, nothing to pay.
No guarantees. And most of you, before you came through the beginning of the QLA funnel, were used to guarantees and putting up equity, right? That's the name, well, not the name of the game, really. That's the name of your end of the financial continuum is, where's the equity coming from? and how much collateral addition you have, and you're going to guarantee it. Because most commercial bank loans, not just in the United States, but around the world, they're looking for 3 sources of repayment. 3. The deal, which should be enough, but it never is, okay? A personal guarantee, and if you have a house, another business, etc., cross-collateralization. They have 3 boxes to check. And we don't want to check any of them. Other than the SBA, you're going to have to give a personal guarantee in America. But you've heard plenty of people, non-recourse, no personal guarantees. Contrary to Jason Nagy thinking he invented it down there in Adelaide, but it's been around a long, long time. And he found a couple other sources, by his own admission, by accident. And how did you find the deal?
Cool.
Oh, it's music to my ears.
And I have to be honest, but
Well, don't be. Does that mean everything you said before is not? Okay, go ahead.
You got me.
Okay.
I was after a while, I started choosing my targets, who I was going to cold call by age of the owner, and I started with the oldest first.
Because by definition, just like Corona, I'm in the crosshairs for Corona at my age. Actually, I'm a little older for the crosshairs. Crosshairs 65 to 70, and I'm 75. But, I mean, they're the most likely demographic. And in certain parts of the world, like the Netherlands, it has a responsible chamber of commerce. And certain countries have responsible chambers of commerce, meaning that they get their numbers from the participants kind of regular, more than regular, and they will list. And you can ask the Chamber of Commerce on their site, you want all that have 4 or more employees. You want some of the local chambers of commerce. I mean, California Chamber of Commerce is dog shit. But I mean, there are, in Texas, some of the chambers of commerce are really good. And because the better Chamber of Commerce have activities. They show you how to get money. They show you how to close deals. They have keynote speakers like Bill Gates. I mean, but most chambers of commerce don't do that. And but I mean, they have reams of information. Reams of information. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. And I'll tell all my funeral crematorium jokes after we get off YouTube. But just to say to YouTube, there are some extra side benefits from working in funeral homes and crematoriums. A little extra benefits, as they say in Oklahoma. Okay, well that's the right thing. Now all you got to do is it's just a little deal, like just do something to somebody. I mean, that's all. Do something to somebody. And you get the feel for it, you know. I happen to have been in this business, as most businesses that we've discussed. And if you think you're getting Granny's ashes, I wish you did get Granny's ashes, but you're not. You're getting Fido's and God knows who else's, and that's just the way it is. Although we have all our dogs' ashes in front of the fireplace, and the little puppy, when he was first put down in my office, he made a beeline to all the little canisters of ashes, and he went one to one of them, all the way down, all 11 of them, of the dogs that are there. And of course, the dog's smell is 500 times or whatever better than ours. But then I thought, well, Winston, I hope you're not joining them anytime soon. After all the fucking money we just paid for you, you little piece of shit. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, sir. Undertaker. Yes. Oh, no, depending on where you are in the world. Undertaker is normally when you're in the rural parts of America, they have undertakers. They're not called that anymore. They're called funeral parlor directors now. Morticians are licensed by the state, and his business, you don't have to, there's no license transferred, right? But if the funeral home is licensed, the mortician, the guy that fixes up the body to make it look better, he's licensed by the state. And allegedly, you have to go through some kind of schooling. I'm sure you do, to be able to do all that stuff. The answer to your question is the same thing, Undertaker. And there used to be a famous mixed martial artist guy, cage guy, named The Undertaker, about 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, The Undertaker. And we've had some mixed martial arts guys come to the seminar, and they're nothing, zero, like their persona, their acting when they're up there. They're just not even reasonably close. I mean, you go boom, and they jump. You get them in the cage, they switch. They become Jason Nagy. Anything else? SPACs, IPOs, blind pools. Yes. Okay. In what? The question was, can we go over clawbacks and reverse clawbacks? Absolutely. In what context? Because there's the context, and when you buy a business and you're taking 60%, 70 or 80%, and you're leaving them with 20, 30, or 40%, this is the seller. And they want, you're putting up the money. They want, how do we get from 40 back to 60 or 70%? And the general accepted way, I'm not saying the only accepted way, but the generally accepted way is through a clawback, meaning, okay, for the next 3 years, you produce results that have grown at 20% ROI, return on investment per year, and for every 20% year you have, you can claw back 5% of the equity in ownership. So you can go from 40 to 45 to 50 to 55 in 3 years. I've only seen it work in year one. I've never seen a clawback work beyond year one. Because to keep a team focused, first of all, 20% ROI is fucking hard. For an ongoing business, from something from scratch, it's not hard. I asked you the first day, how many of you have started a business? Almost everybody said yes. How many of you have had 50 or 100,000, 100 in revenue? Almost everybody said yes. From scratch, right? That's geometric growth. That's no different than except it's organic growth. And the reason why banks like buying revenue is because it's been de-risked. As I told you 1,000 times, the risk is already taken out, because for the first 100 grand that you spent or you got in revenue on your business, your new virgin business, nobody knows how much you fucking spent to create that 100 grand. And the banks know sometimes, like in the startup that we're talking about, Arcadia selling to Sierra, right? Had no revenues, right? Currently. But sometimes they got $80,000 in revenues in their fifth year or something. But they've got $6 billion invested to create 80 grand. So the risk factor has already been taken out. And the banks understand. And sometimes you got to explain it to the bank, because the banks are thicker than two short planks, as they say in this country. They're dipshits. You got to explain it to them. I'm only going to bring you deals that stand up on their own 2 feet. Yes, I understand. I'm only going to bring you deals that have been already delevered. And they'll look at you. Well, what do you mean? De-risked. And they'll look at you. Well, I mean, a guy does 100 grand. How much did it cost him to create that 100 grand in revenue? I don't know. Well, neither do I. And if the guy's got $4 million in revenue, he probably spent $6 million to create 4. Very seldom do you create $4 million or $1 million or even $100,000 with no investment, right? You got some investment. And the banks understand that. But sometimes you got to explain it to them. But your board won't understand it either. The challenge is getting it, the first speed bump, and that's why you don't talk to these. And I'm begging you, not like when I almost cried at the last seminar, but you got to use your board. And it's obvious to me that, most of you don't. It just, it is. But sometimes your board won't understand. Well, they're going to want to know, if they haven't already asked, where's the money coming from? Who's writing the check? So some of you have already been through that. And what's the answer? The answer is directly or indirectly through our board and professionals is where we're getting finance. I've said it. I probably said that sentence. I have said it 1,000,000 times in my 50-year career for sure. It's no less true than I said it 50 years ago than it is today. But it's still not practiced, just like it wasn't practiced 50 years ago. It's not practiced now, because virtually all your directors, both executive and non-executive, are not going to understand it readily, because they've never done a deal with nobody writing a check. Not necessarily them, but somebody's writing a check. Or somebody's got access to the money. I use the old metaphor, writing a check, and now nobody writes checks anymore, but I guess, well, maybe they do. I don't. As you know, I don't carry money. Sally doesn't allow me to carry money or credit cards or anything like this. I get 20 pounds when I'm in London in case I get lost, and I get $20 in the UK. So I said, well, can I have $25? Because the dollar and the pound, I should get. She goes, no. Albert Einstein used to have on his right lapel, scotch taped with a pin, a nickel. Albert Einstein, because in those days, that's what a phone call cost in a payphone. A nickel, so he could get home. Because he didn't know how to get home when he was at Princeton. They scotch taped and pinned a nickel behind his lapel. I'm not that bad. I can get around. But I only used my ATM for the first time. This is a true story. A few years ago. ATM, they still have ATMs? Where you put your credit card and you punch some numbers and it spits out money? First time I was in Mayfair. Sally was sick. That's when we had a house there. Sally was sick, and she said, well, we need some cash. And she gave me a credit card and drew me a little map to where the closest ATM was. And I went out, and and the people that are standing in the line looked all like your riffraff clientele from your fucking mobile home park, and they look homeless to me. And they didn't want to get too close to the person that was working the machine, and I couldn't figure out why. Why was everybody standing so fucking far away? Because I guess they steal the numbers, right? I used it once, and I said I'll put 20 grand in. I wanted 20,000 pounds out. Reject. 15,000 pounds. Reject. 2,000 pounds it paid me. But I mean, you can't get 20,000, I guess, out of an ATM. But then I was gone about 5 or 6 minutes too long. Sally's bundled herself up, comes out of the house looking for me. Like I got, kidnapped or some shit. In Mayfair, of all places. Okay. I don't want to start one of the big cases. Well, unless you have any questions, I don't want to start a new case. I'm happy. Yes. About who? Ask her. You're talking about the funeral. The guy with the palely white skin. But all Brits have palely white skin. So, anybody could be a funeral director up here. I don't know why the fucking Romans ever came back so many times to fucking take over Britain. In fact, Caesar Augustus said that. Why we keep fucking coming back here? For it to piss rain on us all the time. But go ahead. Are you all asking about the extra benefits?
Yeah, somewhat.
Oh, fuck.
So
Okay, go ahead.
the business comes with a trust fund of prepaid funerals. Would there be any way to leverage that fund to get additional loans off of it?
Well, it depends on the covenants of the trust, but normally I would imagine they're pretty tight, so you can't leverage off of. I could be wrong, but that's like it's not the same. It's similar to when you put money in the trust account of your lawyer. There's covenants that he can't commingle the money, he can't take the money. But you're asking, can he take that £700,000 and leverage it to borrow more money? Is what your question is, right? I don't know about the covenants of the trust.
Would it make sense to hire a sales troop and then have them go out and pre-sell funerals on a commission basis?
Yeah, you're talking about after you already own it. Yeah, I mean, in fact, Forest Lawn, and this information is old, who used to be the biggest funeral home company in the United States, had a selling team. They had like a call center to sell these packages. They got a deal on TV now where a guy's mail went to the wrong address, and she comes up to her and says, you know, I got this and I was interested. It was funerals for silver-haired people, old people or some bullshit. And and they go through some little story that I don't want to burden my family, bullshit. But when you call those numbers, they've got professional salespeople on the end. Now, you're talking about the salespeople generating the first call by following them. I don't know if they have that. I know they certainly have it in America.
What about collaborating with a care home and have a salesperson go in there and...
And when the people die, they refer them to you? All that's possible.
No, or beforehand,
Well, no, I understand that, but I mean, the referrals, dead referral is still better than no referral. The referral meaning being dead.
But could you also have someone go in there while they are alive and have them prepay their funeral?
Well, most of the old timers, I mean, you can get in trouble legally. Do they have dementia? Are they capable of taking care of their own affairs? Like Sally has a power of attorney for her mom that's in a home, well, they could. You could. I mean, none of that sounds illegal. It's tasteless. It doesn't, but it's coming from you. So I would have thought that the Persian wizard over here would have thought of that. But no, I mean, it's in bad. It's in bad taste. There's a grieving period. Well, they're not grieving yet because they're not dead, but they're almost dead. So you're trying to catch them before they're dead.
I mean, it's a discount.
Yeah, well, you give them a discount. But, it still sounds in poor taste. But, I mean, there's a lot of things to me that are in poor taste. I mean, on the commercials, that they ram down your throat, at least here in the UK, at least here in Scotland. You could do that. I mean, you could cut deals. I would cut deals with hospitals, like an ambulance chaser. An ambulance chaser is a guy who's proactively practicing law, that when he sees an accident, he gives you your card and call me. Well, there's guys that use the obituaries as in their sales funnel to call to find motivated sellers. Since the 90s. When the obituaries that are posted, all those people are one half of a motivated selling team. You understand what I just said? But I mean, not many people do that. I mean, again, it's tasteless, but profitable. It doesn't look like too many of you are going to be using it either. There's some limit. There's a line that almost everybody won't go over. Whatever that line is to you personally, you have to make that choice. There weren't that many lines I wouldn't go over. And you live in a 800 square foot apartment, and I live here. I rest my case. And yet, the big guys that I've told you off camera said that I was a weak link. And what are you? We've got a couple of pretenders. If I'm the weak fucking link, God help you. There's certain things you won't do, including cold calling. At the rate that's required, everybody can make one cold call a day. 2, 4, 8, 200, 300, 500. You drop off, right? And you all got excuses why, right? I got a family, right? Do you think I haven't heard them all, the reasons? Instead of just saying, I'm white and lazy. I'm black and lazy. I'm a Chinaman and lazy. I'm a New Zealander and lazy. I'm a fat contractor and lazy. I'm an English pasty guy that looks like a funeral and lazy. Now, you won't use the word lazy. I can't reignite the fire in my belly. Some of you never had the fire in the belly, so I mean, if you never had the fire in the belly, then I'm not saying it's impossible to ignite. Some of you, I mean, in this country, you go to school, get the best education you can, go to work for a big company, and you want to be a mainline board director at the end of your career with a retirement of some sort, and you got a house in fucking the Midlands, and right, and you put your kids through school, and maybe they gave you a watch. Probably not. That's the career in this country. If you went to one of the better schools, you go to the city, the financial district, and you end up a career there, and now they call them senior managing directors, but that's not what this model is. This model is, you go out and be fucking Adolf Hitler and sell the shit out of anything you get a hold of. But there's no limit to the amount of money you can make. Yeah.
Why is the money in a trust and not with his company?
Because the money has been for just to keep thieves like you away from it. That's exactly the reason it's in a trust. Because the people that die or pay for a funeral that's going to happen in 3 years want to make sure the fucking money's still there. And not squirreled away by somebody like you. That's exactly the reason it's in a trust. And you already figured out the paths that you're leaning towards are dictated by the questions you ask. I don't have to explain these two guys to you, do I? It's pretty fucking obvious, isn't it? Just don't be that obvious with the sellers. Otherwise, you won't buy shit. And even though I talk the way I talk, and I've always talked this way, I could still sell the shit. But I wouldn't take no for an answer. And when I mean it from the bottom of where my heart's supposed to be. I've showed you pictures of my heart now, because we know from about 5 months ago that I got one. But I wouldn't take no for an answer. You don't close 94.6% unless you're a hard closing motherfucker. My sales teams average 50, 60% sales. Trying to keep up. Yep. Go ahead.
is it illegal to have them pay the company? I mean, because
Am I the only one? Am I the only one that gets this? Go ahead.
because I mean,
Okay, is it illegal to what?
is it illegal for them to prepay me that, like the company directly?
Oh, you want them to prepay you?
Yeah, because I mean, you could still take off the margin, right? There's no harm in taking off the margin.
No, it's not illegal, but I mean, if they have a choice between putting it in a trust that they know is going to be there 5 years from now and prepaying you, I don't think that, you know.
If it's cheaper.
No, it's there's certain things that are sacrosanct, and you know, burying your mom is probably one of them. You know, I didn't bury my mom. I burned her at the stake that she should have been burned at 600 years ago. You know, I cremated her. But no, I mean, I don't think that you're going to be able to add, unless you got a personal development discount over Valentine's. You can put a 40% discount over Valentine's. I don't know. I mean, I would think people would be suspect, but that's just me. I think, and to look at him, I mean, nobody's going to give him any fucking money. I mean, you know, it better give it to the fucking young Ayatollah over here. You know, no, I don't think so. Now, you want to do funeral homes, don't you? You mean just take them right out when they die, you just ship them? Your German cohort over here is looking at you, you know, fuck. Yeah, I guess that's possible. It is. It is. But I don't know what the rules and regulations are. You're going to do this in Germany? I don't know what the rules and regulations. I mean, the Germans got a rule for everything, fucking a license for everything. You know, so I would imagine that it would be license driven. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I mean, a lot of people are dying. I mean, they're dying all over the place, including Germany. Yeah.
I want to ask his question differently.
Ask his question differently.
Yes. So basically, where I'm looking at it from is he has a company and he could potentially build an ecosystem around it. Would you recommend that?
Ecosystem, okay, just define to me ecosystem.
Like a platform almost, kind of like, you know, Apple makes computers, but they also allow a marketplace for apps. They also sell phones.
So this ecosystem would be a death ecosystem.
Yes. Like alive, you know, we treat you and then...
There's nothing, as far as I know, there's no law against that. Yeah, you could. Off the top of my head, you could. But when you're the first, remember, if you're not first, you got to be different. And let's just say that there's no such a thing as a death ecosystem. And I don't know, but there's probably an app for it. Since I missed apps the first time, there's probably an app for it. But the answer is yes. You can. And but that still doesn't resolve the question. You still got to buy these things. Because I can tell you, it's a lot easier to buy them that are already in business 6 months or 36 months or 66 months as opposed to start them from scratch. And part of that ecosystem would have to be cemeteries. And you can't hardly, maybe it's different in Germany, but you can't hardly get a permit for cemeteries anymore in the United States of America. You can't get them permitted. They just, nobody wants to be, I don't know exactly why, but they don't want to be reminded. And the cemeteries in America with the old headstone thing, that's dead. That's been dead for 50 years. And now they put 2 and 3 bodies in one place. I mean, so, but, yeah, but I don't see any reason, unless there's a particular law. But I would imagine if you can do it in Germany, you can do it any place in Europe, because Germany's got the toughest laws about almost everything. Not everything, but almost everything. They don't make it, I mean, from driving to get shooting a gun to playing golf, I mean, everything. They make it a fucking, PhD, or at least a double master's degree to get anything done. But yeah, an ecosystem where, like a pinball machine, he steals from all the different ecos, huh? That's what I like, a crook that doesn't deny being a crook. Stand-up crook. There are not many stand-up crooks left anymore. They're just not. Oh yeah, morally. Now, nobody can say that, watch you say that with a straight face. After being with you a couple days, Even the Persian pervert,
And if they don't die after 2 years, you can't just kill them and help them.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. And your grandfather, that sounded like a porn deal. Have I answered your question? Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll see you guys back here for drinks. I believe it's at 7. Is that right? Okay, well, you can get to work on your whatever you're working on.
You had some dead people jokes you were going to...
What? Pardon?
Off the camera, funeral.
Extra benefits of fucking... yeah. He tried to chick fuck me.